guys. All right. I'm Monica Brant, and you are tuning into The Monica Brant Show. And I'm super excited about my guest today. He's been a long-time associate and friend from my industry, and he is one of the legendary people that have helped create this industry. And you'll soon see why once you tune into the show. He comes from a high school PE teacher to an inventor, entrepreneur, author, and owner of the #1 custom weight belt company, Cardillo Weight Belts. He's got 1 million followers on Instagram, I might add. And let's welcome to the Monica Brant Show, Steve Cardillo. That's fun. So, all right. So you had mentioned earlier about the giveaways, yes. And I was curious about that. Is that are those your own creations of how you're going to run those giveaways?
Yeah, it's just I team up with a lot of companies that I try to help them. Like I said, if people didn't help me at the beginning to market my product, I wouldn't be where I am today. So with social media, it's the same thing. How you try to help other people build their following, so their following will turn into business. So it's a good way of helping other companies. It's a good way of helping other companies grow, but it's also a good way for me to give back to my followers and people that support me. I just I like giving. And I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for people like yourself and Ronnie Coleman and all these people who wore my belt. There was no affiliate codes. There was none of that. These people were just helping each other. And when I see other companies, owners, I don't want to get into it, but they have these affiliate codes and they own companies. In a way, you wouldn't be where you are if you didn't have people. You should be helping them. They should be helping you. It's everyone helping everyone. At the end of the day, the top athlete needs to have an affiliate code because that's how he's going to make his money. But an owner of a company with an affiliate code, come on, man. You got to help each other. So companies should be helping companies that aren't conflicting with each other rather than trying to suppress them and not know the game. You got to help each other. If you help me as a company, something comes down the road, I help you. I work hand in hand with 𝗬𝗫cie 𝘂𝗁𝗲. They're owned by the 𝗬𝗁𝗃𝗁𝗃𝗁𝗃𝗁𝗃. We have a relationship where I give them leads all the time. I don't want anything from them. Every time they have opportunity, Rob 𝗬𝗁𝗃𝗁𝗃 wears my belt for nothing. He just does it because we both have a appreciation for each other, but just trying to help, genuine help, not you help me, I help you, I helped you 10 times, you helped me 9 times. I help anyone 25 years, but I can go back to that guy 25 years later and say, hey, now my little nephew needs something. Can you do it for me? I don't get anything from me. I don't need anything. My, if you want to call chips for everyone else to make them happy, not to make me happy. I'm already happy. And you makes me happy. So
that's awesome. So you've mentioned a couple of times that I did something for you. Was it the calendar or was it something else?
Oh, the calendar at the time was extremely important to me because you were one of the at the beginning. So, at the beginning, you say, oh, geez, Monica Brant is in my calendar. Marla Duncan's in my calendar. You have to have that credibility at the beginning so that other people want to join in on. If you don't have these people, then, you have no credibility, then you really have nothing. So you helped me get other girls later down the road because of what you did for me. So, you might not be a big deal, but to me, it was a big deal and it helped my business. So with that, I appreciate it.
Hey, will you remind me what year that calendar was?
Honestly, I don't know.
Does it say?
I think you 95, 96, but it seems early to me, but that, you know better than me, but I only have numbers like number 3, number 4, number 5. Okay. So your calendar was number 4 but I didn't have a calendar in 1 and 2. So you second run but I don't even know what years I started the calendar.
I think that those pictures, I'm sorry, my 15-year-old dachshund is here behind me whining. She's trying to get in her bed. So come on. I want to say that was 95 or 96 is when those pictures were taken. Can you hold it up one more time? I'm curious.
Right.
Let's see.
Let me see.
Actually, I wonder, that might have been 95, maybe 95.
Yep. Ralph behind.
We got a leg up on the competition there, Steve.
Ralph was the guy that.
Yeah, Ralph shot that.
Yeah, you were in there with Kim Page. She was a big WCW wrestler at the time. Denise Paglia.
Yeah.
She was in there. A couple girls, friends from some of the wrestlers.
Let's see the front.
Paul DeMeo. Oh, it was our challenge were always Paul DeMeo.
I love it.
Yep.
That's so fun. And you still have it. It was still like conveniently located too.
I have everything. I know where everything is.
I love everything behind you. Can you tell me what some of the things behind you are? I obviously know the belts, but what else have you got back there that are important to you?
A lot of the baseball players, I make belts for, signed balls. A lot of hockey, mostly hockey stuff, except for belts. Those were all a lot of the Rock's belts that I made for him down below.
Now, when you make a belt for the Rock,
yep.
Do you have a second one that you keep?
Absolutely, yeah.
You usually make two?
Yeah, 2 or 3, because not that he's finicky, but he wants it how he wants it. So I'll make 2 or 3 renditions to make sure that's the one he wants. And
will you give one away as a giveaway, or is that they would be his personal? Okay.
His stuff is his stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some guys are cool with it. I've never even asked them because, like I said, I kind of know. I know without asking. You know what I mean? But some guys will. He might not. But I don't even want to ask him. It's because his stuff is so personal.
Yeah, well, you probably know him pretty well, so you would know how he feels about that kind of thing. And it makes sense. Like some people, they just want to have their own personal stuff, and then if they want to make something to give away, then it would not be a personal piece. Yeah. So at the top there, are those all mask?
Yeah, those are a lot of replica masks of goalies in the old days. And then talking about hockey again, you went from when I was a goalie. So when I played,
oh wow,
equipment you wore, they say you're nuts, and hindsight, all these things that I've done, hindsight, are pretty crazy. So before me, the goalies wore no masks, so you're totally out of your mind. Then I was in the phase of where you had a mask. It's like a 1/4-inch piece of fiberglass on your face. So picture you're putting yourself up against a piece of plexiglass and someone shooting a puck 100 miles an hour off the plexiglass. That's what it was like.
It would still hurt.
Yeah, it was brutal. So and all the equipment was garbage. You wore basically nothing. So looking back, you say, you would definitely. I don't even believe my mother and parents. I wouldn't let anyone play hockey at that time.
Yeah.
Can't believe they let me play because it was brutal, violent with the equipment they had. And now today, the goalie is probably the safest position because the equipment is so good for them.
Right now. Oh, I lost you now. I can't hear you now.
Hear me now?
Yes.
Back then, it was vicious. So
that sounds vicious.
Yeah. So then you go to powerlifting and you say to yourself, I trained my nephew when he was squatting 500 when he was 15. So hindsight, if he wasn't coached correctly, I'm deadlifting where you can't even pull the weight off the floor. That's the sport of powerlifting is pretty outrageous too. When you're looking at your health, like knock on wood, I didn't have any issues, but it's so easy. Squatting 600, all you got to do is bend over a little bit, you blow your back out for the rest of your life. But you don't think of all this radical stuff you're doing when you're younger. You look back and say, holy shit, I was out of my mind. So
yeah. Speaking of that, I want to just step back for a second. And can you talk on weight belts, like the benefits of them? Maybe just like let's say someone has never heard, like, why do you wear a weight belt? Like, how would you explain that to someone?
Okay, first off, a weight belt is used to help prevent injury. It's not used as a crutch. You don't want to use a belt as a crutch. You want to strengthen your core through supplement exercises, and then the belt is used to help prevent injury when you're going heavy. So if you're going heavy, you should wear a weight belt. It's designed to build up abdominal pressure so that your stomach can push against something to give you more rigidity for your back, your lower back. But it's helped prevent injury.
Okay.
You follow what I'm saying? So
I do.
I've worn a belt from basically my uncle taught me when I was 14. First thing he bought me was a weight belt. So I've used a weight belt my entire life, and my back I will core anyone. I have no my core is strong as anybody's core, and I wear a belt. I joke I wear a belt for everything now because it's my business. It's a big joke. I'll wear a belt anywhere. I know my core is strong, but and then you don't wear it cinched or tight all the time. You wear it on the looser side when you're doing lighter weight, tighten up heavier weight, or it just hangs like a belt. That's how I do it. But if you're training heavy, all these guys, you don't need a belt, and you don't need a belt, but it's going to catch you one of these days. That one time that you didn't wear a belt because you want to be a macho man, it's going to get you, and you're going to be no good. You know what I mean? So a belt is for heavy lifting, not your warm ups. And like I said, you strengthen your core. It's just so much to it, but there's no shame in like someone saying, "Oh, I squat." Think they're cool, but I squat a 600 no belt. Good for you. All you got to do is slip up one time, and then you'll wish you wore a weight belt.
That's good information. I don't think I've ever had anyone talk to me about a weight belt, like why and when. And so when you're like, because this is going to lead into my next topic with you with training, but so this is a great tie-in here. So when you're wearing it, how tight do you want it if you're lifting heavy, and do you take it completely off or just loosen it in between sets?
All right. So hypothetically, we're going up to, let's say, like 500 on the squat. So at 135, you don't wear your belt. 2 1/4, you don't wear your belt. You get up around 300, you wear your belt, and you wear it somewhat snug, but not cinched to where you want to be on your max set. So as you're going up in increments, I'm tightening my belt in increments till I get to my heavy load. That's how I use the belt. Some people go warm up heavier without the belt, but I tend to find you got a little more injury on the lighter sets because you're taking the lighter set lightly. So that feeling of the support, even though it really wasn't doing that much, you're more in tone with your head. You have the belt on, you're getting the pressure against your ab, you're tightening your back rather than just freewheeling or nothing, and your stomach is kind of just not cinching against anything. So it's more of a feeling that you're getting on the lighter sets, not being so tight, but tight enough that you know it's there, to the point where you really crank it, where you're just one notch away from being too tight. You don't want it too tight because then you can't expand your stomach a little bit, but tight enough where it's almost to the max.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then you have these
Yeah.
shit companies out there, making it so the holes are ½ inch. I mean, the holes on my belt are 3/4 inch. It's the way. Right? It's just a marketing ploy when you have a ½ inch increments where 3/4 inch, a quarter of an inch doesn't make a difference when you're going to cinch your belt.
All these little details I would not know anything about.
And I can make any belt I want. You have double prong belts. All my belts are double prong because double prong is twice.
Yeah.
Single prong is, maybe a little more convenient, but double prong, especially in powerlifting, I go for the strength of the belt. I can make any belt I want. I can make leather, suede, anything. I choose to use leather because of quality. I use double buckle because it's stronger. And again, I can make any belt I want.
Well, the double buckle feels more secure too. Like,
It's just, you think about it, you have twice the something, break it down. And when people from overseas knock off belts, they knock off double prong. They knock off double prong because it's better, even though it's an inferior piece of belt, by far inferior. They still use a double prong.
wow, very cool. So
Yep.
your belts are sold all around the world then?
All over the world.
Yeah.
it's probably, I think I've been in every country in the world.
What's your what country is your biggest client outside of here?
I do, yeah, outside of here, probably Asia.
Oh, really? Okay.
Asians love my stuff. Europe loves it too. I mean, it's just getting them, especially with the COVID, out of the country. But it's all over the world. It's kind of like which is good for me. I kind of built not a fashion, but a brand of quality. Is worn by professional bodybuilders. The problem is, people are, the good thing for me now today is there's so many pros. So when they get their pro card, it's time for them to get a Cardillo weight belt. That's kind of the reputation I have. But my thing is saying, get the belt sooner if you become a pro quicker. But it hasn't. Got a pro.
That's great. That's great. I love it. Okay, well, this has been really, really interesting, and I still have a lot of questions.
Okay.
What I'd like to do right now is go into rapid fire questions. All right, Steve. So I can't honestly say that I am a really fast rapid fire question giver, but we'll go as fast as we can. All right. If you were a superhero, Steve, who would you be and why?
Oh boy. Superman, because he's strong.
Very good. That's a perfect answer. Awesome. Okay, describe Steve in 3 words at age 15.
I loved hockey.
I loved hockey. That's great. Okay, favorite type of vehicle, and do you always wear your seatbelt?
I always wear my seatbelt, and probably a Chevy SSR truck. They don't make them anymore.
No. Okay. Do you have one still?
3.
You have 3?
Yeah.
What colors?
2 yellow and a black. And I had a red, but I got rid of the red one.
Okay. So a little side note, this is why I'm not really fast with these things.
Yep.
I've always wanted a truck, and I always wanted it to be yellow with black and kind of jacked up. And on the back, I wanted to put Tweety Twuck for Tweety Bird.
Yeah.
I've been a Tweety Bird fan for a very long time. I have not gotten that truck yet, but it was an idea that I've had for a long time.
Okay. There you go.
Okay. Name the oddest way you have used your portable preacher curl while training.
Say that one more time.
Name the oddest way that you have used your preacher curl, the portable preacher curl while you've been training. What's the oddest way you've used it? Or have you?
Yeah, probably in the water. I tried using it in the water.
Did it sink?
It didn't work that well.
Is it squishy, or is it wood, or what's it made out of?
Wood with a foam over it. It was just here I had. Now someone's knocking it off. I don't want to get into that, but I've like 8 years.
Okay. In the water. List the last movie you watched.
The last movie I watched was oh God.
I stumped you, did I?
Yeah. I mean, let's see. The last movie, the other night I watched A Bronx Tale.
Okay.
I love that movie.
Okay, I think I've seen that. It's been a while, but I do think I saw that. Is that about the little kid that's going through kind of like his beginning years and stuff? And
his father has one idea and the gangster has another idea.
Yeah.
At the end of the show, he combines the 2 great attributes of both of them and tries to become a better person.
Hey, do you follow Valuetainment?
And let's go back. Also, Jungle Cruise.
Jungle Cruise. Okay, I haven't seen that.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so this is a side note, not a rapid fire question. Do you follow Valuetainment?
No.
There's the guy. You would be a great talk for him, but he's interviewed a lot of the top bodybuilders, and he's interviewed politicians and military, and like all kinds of inventors, like all kinds of people. It's 𝗬cie Patrick something. And the only reason I found out about him is because I had a few people that would send me his interviews with the bodybuilders, and he was in the military previously. I don't remember what country, but was he for the American? Anyways, he had some of my pictures up, I guess, when he was in the military. Yep. And now he talked to the bodybuilders about the fitness girls, and my name has come up a couple times. That's why. So I started following his stuff because he's really interesting. He does great interviews, and he just recently put out, and I can send you the link at some point, but he put out a teaser for one of his upcoming podcasts or shows.
Yeah.
And it's with mafia guys. Like, I guess it's pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it says like real and raw, like, no holds bars. So it was I was like, I haven't watched it yet, but it just literally came up, I think, a few days ago on my feed from him. So anyways, okay, back to rapid fire questions for at least 1 week. Oh, sorry. If you had to choose another occupation for at least 1 week, what would you choose to do?
Coach hockey.
Coach hockey. There you go. All right. This one might stump you. Maybe not. Name an exotic animal you most resemble.
You tell me. I don't know. No idea.
Well, it could be in like action or how they handle hunting or something,
Boy.
A lion.
Yeah, we'll go a lion. Yeah.
Although you're in the water a lot, so I wonder if it would be like more like a puma or something that got in the water more. Maybe a leopard. Ooh, leopard. It is.
Oh, I'll go with the leopard.
Leopard, because they'll get down in the water. Yeah. Okay. So if you ever have that question come up again.
Yep.
All right. Favorite binge type of food, and do you prefer eating it alone or with company?
Sushi with company.
Ooh, that's good stuff. Okay. And do you eat the rolls, hand rolls, or the pieces, or sashimi?
Sashimi and sushi and straight pieces, and sushi on rice and just sashimi.
Okay, so none of the rolls.
I do rolls too, but there's too much. They have to mix the mayo and everything that goes with it. So I just straight fish.
Yeah, okay, good. Oh, and speaking of, I just saw you eating the eyeballs out of that fish. And I mean, I get it that there's great omegas in that, but that's not for the faint of heart.
Not too bad. It's nutritional. There's really not much taste to it.
Well, what about the texture?
The texture is like a grape, a fish grape.
I would not be able to look at it. I don't think. Okay. Okay, this one might stump you, but maybe not. Name 3 of the 7 dwarfs' names. Name 3 of the 7 dwarfs.
Don't know them.
Okay, there's one that you've said quite a few times, Happy.
Happy.
Mm-hmm. And there's one that likes to...
Happy, sleepy.
Sleepy. And then there's one that you probably would have nothing to do with, and there's one that because of all the crazy virus going around in the world right now, there's a lot of this going around in the world right now. I'm trying to give you 2.
Daffy.
What?
Goofy and Daffy. Who's that?
Well, they're not part of the 7 dwarfs, but I was thinking you would probably have nothing to do with the grumpy dwarf.
Yeah, grumpy. Okay.
Yeah, and then Sneezy.
Sneezy, yeah.
Everyone's sick.
I couldn't remember it.
I had to write them down. And then there's 3 more: Bashful, Doc, and Dopey.
Yeah. This is the woman's interview. Here we go.
Hey, I've given you some good stuff. Okay, last question. What is the last thing you have done spontaneously?
Jumped in the lake after I trained.
I love the one where you're in the water doing your knee ups on the Roman chair.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking, my thought was like getting the Roman chair in and out of the water. That had to be a workout a little bit, anyways.
Yeah, that's all part of it.
Yeah, right. Awesome, awesome. Okay, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll be right back and going to go back into some more of your awesome training information.
Okay.
So. All right, you guys are watching the Monica Brant Show, and I'm here with my legendary guest, Steve Cardillo. 35 years with Cardillo custom weight belts, world renowned. And I want to talk to you, Steve, about your crazy training going on in your beautiful location there on Instagram. I'm so impressed, and it looks like fun, except I have to say that the cold days don't look like fun to me.
But coming from the hockey background, I have a gym inside as well. So I heat up and then, I go out for skate, or I always like, as long as I can bust the water, get into the water, I always like finishing with the drop set. So I don't care what the weather is because I'm already warmed up. I just go out, finish off out there, and then call it a day. But I like to try to get in either the skate or at least one or two drop sets on the water buckets.
Wow. Okay. So is that location right near your home? Well, you don't need to tell me where exactly it is, but is your home close by?
Yes.
So
yes.
Walking distance, and there you are.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Is it a lake?
Yes.
Wow. So private lake?
Yep. Private everything.
Man, that is so wonderful. How many acres do you have?
It's just about an acre.
That's it. Okay. It looks like we have maybe I guess all the waterfront is not necessarily owned by you, but
but it's enough to. My gym is 4,000 square feet, so I got a good setup.
It's 4,000 4,000 square foot inside.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Really nice. How long has it taken you to create this space?
Probably 8 years to get it where it is. Like I said, I started in my father's house. Then when I had another house, I built a gym within the basement of the house. And once I moved where I am now, which I've been here all my life as a summer place, then I finally built a house, my gym, and now it's my sanctuary.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's wonderful. So do you have those awesome special weights, I guess, in there? Do you use them that your father made for you back in the day?
Yes. Yep. I still use them.
Aww.
I have like 3 other sets, but those are their weights of weights.
Do you have any, and maybe I just didn't know what to look for them, but do you have posts on your Instagram that are kind of dedicated to those weights in honor of your dad?
I might have taken a picture, but when it comes to the social media, you have to be kind of strategic on what you put up. And I don't know if, you'd like to be able to give that touch mentality, what we want to call it, of what I have, but I don't think.
Maybe for Father's Day next year, you can do an honorary post and tag me on it, because I'd love to see those.
Yes, absolutely. I'll send you a video.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, super fun. Awesome. Okay, so does the lake freeze over then when it's cold?
Yes.
And that's where you go skating?
Yes. And I do a lot of, ice. Like if I had it in the day when I trained hockey, I would implement what I do now with my hockey. But what I do is I always, now that I keep a hole so that I can always go out and get access to the water even when the lake freezes, so I can do that drop set. That's how important it is to me, that drop set.
Okay. How do you know, and this is coming from someone in Texas who never has water freeze around me, how do you know it's the lake is sturdy enough that you can be on it and skate and not fall in, or are you not worried about that?
You sense it. I mean, you just take, I guess when it's cold. I throw a dumbbell down, it doesn't go, I've fallen through once because it froze and a crack, and then the crack didn't freeze thoroughly, and I I fell in, but I when I'm skating, I skate. If God forbid I do fall in, I'm not over my head. You follow me? In case something like that happens. But it doesn't really happen. That was just the abnormality, but it did happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you like ice plunges?
Yeah, absolutely. I do a lot of because now
Yeah, when you can.
I do it on my knees. They say now that ice doesn't do anything. I really don't know. It feels pretty good. It works good for social media likes it. So besides liking it, good for
I ran track in the Masters USATF. I'm a sprinter, so I was running the 1, 2, and 4 in the last few years, and I used to take a lot of ice baths afterwards,
Yes.
after practices and meets.
Yes.
And I would take them right before bed for about 20 minutes, and I'd have about, depending on how cold it was outside and how warm the water was coming in, again, Texas. And then, so I would have anywhere from 30 to 40 pounds of ice in my tub, and
Yes.
get in there. And I hated it doing it, but afterwards I always felt so relieved.
Yes. Definitely.
So for someone to say that ice doesn't work, it's just kind of, it's not like the people that do it, you can't just make that up. And what I've done over the last probably 6 years or so, I've done. Are you familiar with cryotherapy?
Yes.
Okay. Have you done much of that?
I've never done that.
No.
Well,
So it's completely different. So you haven't done cryotherapy. Is this something that you just don't want to, or you just haven't made time for it?
The opportunity, I've heard a lot about it, but I really never had the opportunity to do it.
Okay.
But if I try anything.
Right.
If my performance, I'll try.
Well, I think a lot of cryotherapy, and I actually like both of them. I do like ice baths. I just, what it takes to put it together, sometimes I don't make the time for it, but I do make the time to go do 3 minutes of cryotherapy as often as I can. So it's pretty cool. So do you have any performance goals that you're training for? I had to ask because, it looks like you're, training crazy every day. Is there anything in the back of your mind that you're training for and you're like, haven't shared it, or am I?
Well, not really, but I just got on a little kick. I'm working with Tom Platz on a special limited edition belt. So his whole thing is 5 more reps. So now my water bucket workouts consist of 50 reps. So my mind is set for 50 reps on the drop set, but now I've just implemented 5 more reps in my mind to do 55 because of Tom Platz. But I just more mental challenge when it comes to the drop set. I'm not into pushing the big weight anymore. I handle some weight, but I want to have the longevity left in my training. I want to keep training healthy and doing maximum lifts and all those things. Don't interest me anymore. I was strong, very strong at the time, and I don't have to prove myself anymore. You put enough money down, and I'll get strong again. There's no reason for me to get strong again like I was.
Well, you definitely look pretty strong, and your equipment looks heavy. And I can only imagine how that the drop set actually feels doing it. Is as you get lighter, it still gets harder, right?
Like your first 10 are like almost like max, almost like maxed out first 10. Then you get to the 20, it's almost like what a normal 5 would feel. 5. And when you get to the 20, it's like you're just warming up your first 10, lightweight. So it's pretty brutal, but it's more in the mind. Okay, you got to keep going. Your body can do it. Your mind gives out before your body if you allow it to.
Right.
You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise you just keep. Because it's getting lighter, so obviously you can keep going, but your mind is saying, "Geez, this burns, this hurts, this burns, this burns."
Well, my understanding, maybe you've heard something like this too, or have your thoughts on it. When there's something you're doing that the brain has to work at, I mean, the brain's always working, right? But maybe that the brain seems to have to function even more. and the body's also working, the brain ends up taking more of the energy, more of the calories, so that it can keep functioning. And that's why, it kind of dwindles the body down a little bit.
Yes, this is like a combination, because your body is burning and your mind is exploding.
That's how I feel when I run my 400s.
Yes.
I always get to that 250 mark, right around there, right before right before you hit that 300 mark. And the brain tells you, you're done. You can't do this. You're you're exhausted. Every time, and I've been running 400 since I was in high school, junior high rather, so back in the 80s. And I always have to fight myself and say, this is ridiculous. I've never stopped a 400. I'm not stopping now. And I've conquered hundreds of 400s over all these years. Why does the brain at that moment, every time for a couple seconds, try to tell you it can't do that anymore? And you're like, shut up.
Exactly what you so you know exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly it.
It has this stupid little conversation going on, like, shut up, you're wasting time and energy now.
At 50 reps, your mind's thinking a lot of shit.
How long does it take you to do those 50 reps?
Anywhere from like I have different size holes, so anywhere from a minute and a half to 3 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. So that's like running an 800.
It's brutal.
Yeah, or it could be some people for a 400 to an 800. So that's
in the first 10 is like a sprint.
Yeah. Where did you ever check where your heart rate gets to?
No, a lot of people ask me, but I just no. Oh, I just go.
And your breathing, like, your breathing gets up there.
After 50 reps, I felt like
anaerobic.
Oh, brutal. It's brutal.
And now you're adding 5 more to it.
Adding 5, yeah. It's on the lighter end, not the heavier end. Thought pulling the plug for the first 5 reps for Tom, and then pull the plug after 5 out of there to really be truly Tom. But I do it on the back end.
That's awesome. I want to get Tom on this show too. He and I have a cover. Is it out here? I don't see it right this second. I have so many different covers. I can't remember his. I don't think I have his out because I try to change them every once in a while. But yeah, and it's funny because Tom, I was probably, 25 maybe, or 26. And I don't know where he was, but maybe 10 years older than I was or am. And so I think, there was a story about him coming, like, who's this young girl I'm shooting with, right? And it was for muscular development. Yes. But it was a good cover, and we've been friends ever since. So I need to get him on the show sometime.
Yes.
But he looks like he's in great condition right now.
Yep. Seems to be. I think he's going to be coming up to my nephew's store. I think we're going to do either 200 or 250 limited belts with his signature.
Nice.
Store and
nice, very nice. That's cool. All right, how many inventions have you created at this point?
Probably most of them have been in the fitness world. Probably 6, but probably the best thing is that drop set. No one's really caught on to that. When I first started, I used 5-gallon buckets like 40 years ago. So I've been doing the concept for 40 years. It's just I've incorporated all the machines recently. But that's probably if someone really caught on to it, they would find it's amazing. For rehab, it's amazing. But again, I'm running my own little world here, so it doesn't matter to me if it catches on or not. But it's pretty.
That's cool.
Just if you like drop sets, you'll love it. And everyone that has tried it has the same reaction.
Now, you use water. Have you ever used sand, and would that be the same effect?
No, I don't think so, because it would have to be like so fine. It could be like an hourglass if you had it, but it would be too restricted. Like if it's a little wet, it won't go through. It'd have to be like a perfect environment, I would think, to do it. Where water is, you can do it on the beach, you can do it by the pool, you can do it anywhere. And
it dries up or it cools you off or whatever the case.
Wherever you are, if you're, like you are in the grass, if you're on the grass, if you don't have access to like a big pool, you stand in a weighted pool, you can do curls. There's multiple things you can do, but it's better obviously at the beach or if you have a lake or a pool.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Are there any exercises that you don't do?
I do a little bit of everything, a little bit of, but the water stuff, it's amazing. Probably the best is leg.
The best is what?
Best doing legs with the water,
Mm.
descending. Then back, arms, chest, in that sequence, shoulder. But legs and back are brutal, brutal, breathtaking.
The posterior chain.
Yeah, killer.
Well, I mean, nowadays people are so hunched over and tight in the front and restricted that, so many people have just poor whole posterior chains. You see so many people, I see so many young people now that are getting the hunched over neck, men and women and kids, and it just breaks my heart. And if I have a chance, I try to help, because that's one of the things I feel like I've done over the last decade is really focus on learning more about coaching posture and whole body posture, and how to actually use your glutes standing, use your glutes walking, use your glutes when you're washing your hair, brushing your teeth. So I've been coaching a lot of those things that I feel are, really lacking now when I see so many people hunched over because of their phone or computer or sitting or playing games or whatever they're doing. And their back is just stretched out and wimpy, a lot outside of the industry, outside of our industry.
Yes.
So you've seen that too.
Yes.
Okay, so the wood plates. We got to talk about the wood plates because they're so awesome.
Yes.
What kind of wood is that?
I use mostly oak because it's heavier. I've had some pine, but that just falls apart. But most of it is oak.
Is it from your land?
No, my friend has a fence company. It's called Executive Fence. So when he's out on a job, he cuts me the slabs and says, "Oh, these oh, 5." He was a national champion, powerlifting champion. So he knows what I'm looking for in regards to poundage. So he's pretty accurate with the weight. And it's ironic when he cuts them, they're only like within a couple pounds off from each other. But when you're using steel, you notice 2 pounds. When you're using wood, you don't even notice a 5-pound differential on one side to another. It's pretty strange feeling, and it's much more comfortable in steel because you're getting somewhat of the vibration in the plate, where the wood gives you like a soft compression.
Lost you. I lost your volume there for a second. You were saying the wood is softer, and I understand what you're saying by the metal, the steel plates when they kind of hit and you feel like that tension. Yeah.
Yes, but when the wood is like, even like when you're using a power rack, I've used like a wooden power rack, and when you bring the weight back into the rack and you hit the wood, it's a much different feeling than when you're smacking against the steel. So it's the same feeling when it's on your back. The wood has a more comfortable feeling to it than it does steel. I use stones. Stones feel more like steel. That feeling of steel. There's a cement plates I use. The guy has a mold. They're pretty good, but the best feel is the wood, besides the water. If you're gonna choose everything I use,
yeah. Wood. I like, and they look good too.
Exactly. I mean, it's out there in the earth, so I kind of implement the whole thing, and it works out well. And there's the weights, the steel obviously gets rusty, and so on and so forth. Where it just makes it for what the gym is.
You wonder if you could go back in time to way, 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 way back when they used to use wood and things for lifting or for getting stronger, warrior training or something like that. That it just makes sense.
Yes.
It makes sense. And I could see, based off your, sharing kind of like how that wood would feel versus, how I know when I've lifted heavy before with, squats or deadlifts or something, and that metal or the steel just feels so different. But I could see that.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And then I noticed some of your bars have a little bit of bend to them.
Yep. That's like a kinetic bar where, I do a lot of kinetic training because with the water, the swishing inside the buckets gives you that kinetic energy. So the kinetic bar gives you the same feel. So you're getting a double whammy by having a kinetic bar for the flexion and the movement of the water for the actual kinetic action. So it's really, really amazing, and it's great on your joints. It's not pounding down. It's a better feel.
giving, yet you're still having to do the work, but it's giving.
Yes, exactly.
Can you explain the word kinetic?
Kinetic is movement. Kinetic energy, I guess, is the movement of the movement.
Okay. It's not a word that I've really ever used before, so I wanted to make sure when someone else is listening, if they're like, "What's kinetic?"
Yeah. In layman's terms, I guess if you look it up, it'll give you more elaborate definition. But I think it's the movement gives you that kinetic energy.
Okay, I like that.
That's
awesome. Well, your training is so fun to watch. I will be going back in and seeing what you've got new coming up.
Yep.
As often as I can. And there was one where you had a guy training with you and he was taking his time pulling the plugs, I guess, and Dave or something.
That guy there, that's my friend. He's like the most physically fit guy in the world. 300 workout, his record is 727, so he's a beast. So he's one of those guys that wants to beat you down. So he gave me a little drag there, but those 5 reps were Tom Platt's 5 reps.
Okay.
Tom, his first 5.
Oh my gosh. Do you normally train with somebody when you're doing that, or is that a lot of by yourself?
I train mostly by myself. My spokesmodel, my Tran, she trains with me once in a while because she comes up and goes. She's been my spokesmodel for 10 years. So I really, it's I kind of focus on what I'm doing, but she trains, does her thing, but mostly by myself. But if I train with someone, except for like celebrities when they're in town or whatever, I grab that opportunity. I train once in a while with my, I have a recovery therapist that I work with. So every once a week we get together, get a pretty cool workout, then I get a recovery session. So my spokesmodel, check her out on Instagram. Her thing is my model, MAIMODEL. Whenever.
Okay, I will have to go follow her.
Extremely loyal and been great to me. So I'll make sure I want to get. But yeah, those it's mostly by myself because it's early in the morning. But when I have the opportunity to, I call him a sucker to drag into my situation. That's pain with me, and that's what I go for. But
that's fun. So are all those videos, do you do some of them, going back to our beginning of our conversation was about social media and putting stuff out there. Do you have someone there doing those videos, or is that sometimes you do selfie stuff, you set it up and all of that?
Very rarely do I set it up. Like I said, I grab the opportunity when spokesmodel comes over. So she knows what I'm looking for and vice versa. So, we get content that way. Once in a while, I'll set something up just to set it up, but it's better to get kind of like, kind of a panoramic view of what's going on. So you need someone there.
Well, I tell you, it is way too challenging to get a good workout in and try to figure out how to get a good video in at the same time. And then it just feels, for me, I just feel like, okay, I'm feeling vain. And I'm now all of a sudden, because I couldn't get the setup or someone's at where I need the camera to be, then now I'm having to deal with, okay, my workout's suffering now.
Yeah. I never let if I'm going to do something that I might do a complete workout and say, that particular exercise would look cool on a video. I make sure my workout is completely done. And then that's like a bonus set to do that video. So I'm at my weakest when I usually do the videos because I've already done a complete workout, but I know the feel it's going to be a good one. So then she will, or my physical therapist will videotape it for me. But the workout has been completed. That's a set. Unless I'm like tape some, I'm going to be doing. It's for another podcast, a reality show. Not a reality show, but it's called Cardillo's World, where I have celebrities come in and train with me, and then we just go through the whole gamut of basically behind the scenes of an athlete training, therapy, eating, stories you never heard. And just so happens my co-host for that would be my spokesman on my training too. So
now that sounds like fun. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. I'll give you, when I get I have 3 episodes already done. As I get closer to it, I'll keep you updated on it.
That'd be awesome. I do here in Austin area. I did for 3 years, and now we just started up again this year because we took a few years off. But for Austin Fit Magazine, I go in every month. I do a different workout. It's called Kick Mo's Butt.
Yeah.
And different trainer, different location. I just go through their workout, whatever they want to put me through. I write about it, and we have a photographer there. We do some videos. So I get it something different every time, but they love it because they get to kick my butt and I get to write about it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Yep.
All right. So I know we're kind of rounding out our time here, and I just want to make sure we kind of chatted about your book. And, you know, my heart went out to hearing about your story a little bit about your nephew and you helping to raise him as he lost his father, your brother, and how hard that must have been on both of you. But yet you guys found a really positive way to spend time together. And I know that there's so much in this backstory. Maybe you want to just share. I know you have we have just a few minutes, so share a little bit about how that happened over the years. And I know where it is now with he's got the store and all that, but maybe just kind of touch on all those things. And of course, that book that you have for free now on your website too.
Yes. All right. So again, my brother passed away when he was 6, so it was kind of like a nap. You know, I was close to my nephew, you know, before 6, but it was just a natural transition for me to, you know, help him, carry him along with me in my venture. He always looked older, so it was easy, you know, when he was 12 years old to bring him on the business trips. Everybody loved him. So it just, and then I trained him, like he started at 6 years old. So all of that stuff about training, you know, when you see a gymnast, she's 8 years old, 9 years old, she's almost a world champion. So that means that girl had to be training at 4 or 5 years old. So why not train with weights at 4 or 5 years old if you're going to be a champion later on in life? So I wrote a book about him, and the book is basically, it's the 3rd generation. My uncle taught me, I taught him, and then I have another nephew, which I hope to train is a different phase because it would change a little bit my philosophies at the time. But I wrote the book on him about, you know, fallacy stunting your growth. He's 6'1", training as you play sports. I broke it down. I've been in studies at Tufts University on protein. So it's not me reading about protein. It's me actually living through protein deprivation, excuse me. I try to, if I'm going to write something or do something or talk about something, I want to kind of have felt it. I don't want to read about it and tell you about it. I want to feel it so I can tell you my experience. So the book is written through my experience through weight training, passed on to my nephew. It turned out to be, he was a 3-time teenage national champion, 3-time teenage national champion by the time he was 15, black belt in karate. And then when he turned 21, or 20, we opened up the store. He said, I'd like to open a store. I said, here, I'll help you promote it, but you have to put the hours in. 25 years later, he has never honestly really missed a day. He works at first 7 days a week, in the morning, noon, and night. Now he's down to 6 days a week, still putting the time in, never changes. So he is going back to the work ethics of our family. He's extremely motivated, and he has the #1 nutrition store in the country for that reason, that he's there day in, day out, doing what he does.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty interesting. And we'll go back to, he also has a supplement line. It's not a plug, but it's called Sex Strength Energy Extreme. So sex and everyone likes this. So with that, so back to the calendar, I plan on doing a calendar, another physical calendar, and they're sponsoring it. And then, so that's kind of, so going back to your calendar, you know, the physical stuff is gone, but I still believe that physical calendar is something special. So I'm going to bring it, and they're sponsoring it, and all the slots are taken but one. So they're looking for one particular girl to get into that.
Ah, cool. Hey, people still, you know, the calendar thing, you're kind of right. It's kind of gone, but it's still fun to have them. Like I still have one from Israel. That was important to me when I saw it.
I think calendars are great, but again, everything is so digital, but you know, a physical calendar, I still use a physical calendar, you know what I mean? But, you know, if someone 18, 19 might not, but if the girls are right, you know me, I've been using, you know what I mean? I kind of was going back. I was at the beginning. Who was using women is regular, not like regular girls, meaning bikini girls, just girls, attractive girls in the day. There wasn't many people. I was kind of one of the first people. You're going to think about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Crazy.
People,
Yeah.
girls on covers and stuff, but actually in a marketing strategy, I was one of the first to do that. And going back to 35 years, how many companies have still been in the industry for 35 years?
Right. I don't
So,
know. You know,
right.
few far
So,
between, other than athletes, right? But yeah, like a company that's producing something.
there's not
That's
many.
awesome.
And that to marketing has started my business with my women. In my ad, it wasn't just me. So
So how are you finding these women for the calendar? Are people doing like
well,
submitting or?
well, there's been, I mean, a lot of the girls along the way who have kind of helped me along the way. They're all, they're attractive girls, and it's, kind of giving back to some of these girls that are worthy of being chosen to be in a calendar, not that they want to be, you know what I mean? Not, I'm a model, you know what I mean? I think they're worthy of it. And so I'm placing them in there, but ultimately Sex Energy Drink is sponsoring it and they're doing it. So they're the ultimate, make the final selection. I can just make suggestions, but they're looking for one key girl, part of their thing. Because when we were doing it, there were companies sponsoring each particular girl. I did the softer side in '95 where I had a whole lineup of women, and each company had a girl. So each company, Champion Nutrition at the time, there was a lot of, most of them were all gone, but Champion Nutrition comes to mind because they're probably still around.
Yeah, right.
But there's not many people in the industry that have lasted 35 years.
I know, right? Few of us still hanging around there. All
And
right.
the athletes are still there, like yourself, and you're looking great still. And you
Thank you.
never, what you did, you always stayed. You lived the lifestyle, so you kept together and look great, and that's what it's about. But in regards to strictly business, people come and go because they don't do things the right way.
Right. Okay, so you have over 3 decades, that's a long time, of experience, knowledge, and advice for parents and teenagers on weight training and nutrition in your book, right?
Yeah.
Can you list 3 things that you share in the book for parents regarding their children training with weights, and 3 things maybe for nutrition, and we'll close out this piece.
It doesn't stunt your growth. It doesn't make you muscle bound. You're a poor athlete in the beginning. You're going to look like more awkward with muscles, but you were awkward in the first place. So if you're be a better athlete, if you're awkward and you didn't do well, you're going to look more awkward. So you become a bigger, stronger, faster athlete if you're not in the first place. It also can help prevent bullying. And being a school teacher in junior high, the kids that had somewhat of a physique, they might have not been the coolest kid or whatever, but a bully is going to tend to pick on the weaker kid. So if the kid has any physical attribute, he's going to have a better chance of someone kind of staying away, because why do you want to test someone who could possibly whip you to the ground when you could pick on some skinny kid who you know you're going to beat on? So I would say those are the 3 best things for the parent. But the most important thing is it doesn't stunt your growth. It doesn't slow you down. And those are what's most parents are concerned with is, my son's going to be shot. My son's going to be muscle bound. That is not true. Nutrition-wise, plant the seed. If you start young, everyone likes junk food. You can't tell a 14-year-old kid not to have this, but you can say, if you have 6 good meals and you throw in a bad one here and there, you kind of, he knows, you kind of letting him know, make the right choices. You can't be perfect because everyone likes candy, and say don't do that. It's going to be extremely difficult to tell a 13, 14-year kid. But you can say in moderation, it's great. Don't do it every day. So back to when I was selling the book to, say, Books A Million and stuff, I would go in and they say they wanted the women's version. So I couldn't write the book, the woman's version, because this is coming from me, my experience. So my spokesmodel, again, I said to her, why don't you write the book for the women, the girls? So it's called Women, Active Girls, Healthy Women. So it's kind of the same thing where that more focuses on nutrition, body awareness, and all the things. But you can't deprive yourself. If you start telling people you can't, especially teens, they're going to want. So basically, that's basically the premise of everything is just nutrition-wise. If you eat well, take the protein you're supposed to, you can't make ourselves grow taller, but I believe that you can make yourself grow to the highest potential, the best potential you have through nutrition. So if you don't eat correctly, you might fall short of your growth potential. But if you eat properly, you can hit that maximum. You're not going to go beyond it, I don't think. But I think you genetically will be able to hit the max by eating correctly and stunting it if you don't eat correctly.
It's interesting you just said that, because a lot of people, and I've heard this myself, what you just said is parents think that weight training is going to stunt their kids' growth. However, they don't seem to, most of them, care what the kid's eating, which is really what's going to stunt the growth or hold them back. It's just, it's kind of, like
you and I both, 90% of what we do in training, it has to do with nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You just eat cattle. When they eat cattle, you have pellets for chicken, and you have pellets for rabbits, and you have pellets for animals. The one they're both the same. One is higher protein. The higher protein one is they want to beef up the cattle so they become bigger. So that's telling you protein is going to escalate the growth, while depriving the animal of protein is going to keep it small for your little rabbit at home. But if you want to beef up the bull or the cow, you give it protein. So it's common sense that you have to take in protein. And when they do these studies on you only need 50 grams of protein, that's bullshit. You need 50 grams if you're doing nothing. But if you're training, we're breaking down muscle, we need protein. If you take too much, you eliminate it. But if you're doing nothing, you don't need it. But if you're doing our lifestyle, you need protein. Protein is our building block.
So you're not in favor of if you're getting older, you need less protein.
No, because in actuality, it's saying as you get older, we're losing muscle. Mm-hmm. But I haven't lost muscle. You look at my pictures from it's a certain age. We say, okay, they say to me, you look the same. At one point, you look the same. Yeah, that's the goal. If I can maintain what I look like, it come to a certain point, you're not going to get any bigger naturally. So if you choose not to go the drug route, you're going to naturally stay the same. If you can naturally stay the same size for your entire life, you're supposed to be losing 1% or 2% every year. That means gaining 2% a year in what I'm doing because I'm not losing. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So
protein is, I believe,
protein's important. Right.
3 10-month trials and depriving myself of protein and actually seeing muscle loss.
Okay, last couple of questions here. Are you doing any personal training programs for anybody? Is it? I mean, like just without maybe even getting paid. No, you don't do that. So you just have people come and train with you, and you maybe help them while they're there, but not necessarily. Yeah.
Friends and stuff we consult. I'm not opposed to helping somebody, but I don't have any time for anything like that.
Yeah, no worries. That sounds good. Just asking.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you said one of your life mottos is work hard and stay humble.
Yes.
I love that. That was awesome. And I have written for years. I've written "Stay fit, love life." So great. Can you on my autographs? An interesting little quick story I had in '97. I was at the Arnold, and I did the Arnold and the Olympia 20 years in a row, working all of them and competing in numerous ones of them. But so I always wished I had some kind of retirement deal after 20 years of both of them. But in '97, I had an older gentleman come up to me, and he got a picture from me, and he said, "I want you," and I signed it however I signed it. And he says, "Last year I came and I bought a picture from you." So in '96. And he says, "You wrote on it, stay fit and love life." And he said, so I went home and I thought, well, how can I do this? And he says, I started exercising and I started dancing with my wife. And those were the two things that he did to stay fit and love life.
Yes.
Walking and dancing with his wife. So I thought that was so cool. So that's kind of been my yes. life motto, I guess. So can you tell me, how do you stay fit and love life?
How do I love life?
How do you stay? I mean, obviously you're training to stay fit and strong. And then what do you do to love life, to enjoy life?
Give back and make others happy.
That's awesome. I thought you might say that, but I had to ask.
It's just not, I don't say things just to say things to sound good. I sincerely mean them, and I try to show it through how I live. I mean, anyone that really knows me knows that I like making people, which makes return.
So you might have ended up to be the happy dwarf if you were going to be one of the dwarfs.
That's
we came to the realization.
Yeah,
that's great. Okay, so is there anything else you'd like to share before we close out our show here? Is there anything else you'd like to share? And can you tell people where they can find you?
The best way to find me is on Instagram, 𝗬𝗁𝗂𝗁𝗲. And it was a great interview. I appreciate it. I don't do many of these, but I'm glad we did this one.
Thank you.
Still look great, and I do appreciate that gesture. You may think it was small at the time, but to me it was very important to me. And you weren't looking at an affiliate code or anything. It was you did it for me through Ralph and me, and I needed that at the time, because at the time I couldn't afford to really pay anybody anything. So I just appreciate that, and and that's basically. I hope I did okay, because I normally don't do too many of these, and this
You've been awesome. It's been so fun. My goal is just to, really get to know people in the course of the time spent with them, and just kind of hear some different things that maybe they haven't talked about in a different interview. So, yeah. And ask them different girly questions.
Yeah. Leave that one.
I love it. I'm honored that I'm your first female interviewer. And thank you so much for taking the time, Steve. It's been wonderful talking to you, and God bless you and your businesses and your nephew and all your family and all the things that you're doing for others. And I look forward to getting my belt signed.
Yes. Yeah. Message me so that I can we coordinate and then touch base and sorry about it.
I know, right? I'm like,
that's hard.
Hey. That's all right. I think it was because it was in a different country, and it was the only one back then that was in a different country. Everything else was here in the States all the other years.
Actually, I'm so fixated on the men part of it, because even in 98, that was 99% of my.
Well, that was Ronnie's first year to win in 98. So he and I always laugh about that. We won our Olympias, the first Olympia anyways for him on the same year.
Yes, but once I make the belt, I will be embedded.
I love it. So fun. So fun. Right. Thank you, Steve. You have a great night. We're going to let you go now. And you have just a wonderful rest of your evening. And I can't wait to see more on Instagram of your crazy training.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. That was an amazing conversation. I just so enjoyed my time with Steve Cardillo. And I can't wait, like I said, to get my belt autographed and get my official Fitness Olympia champion belt, so I can be right in there with all the other Olympia athletes. All right, so thank you so much for tuning in, and I wanted to give out a special thank you to all my sponsors. So thank you, Egg White International and Aloe Life International. Oh, there it is. Thank you, Bodyscape Magazine, Legendary Foods, and Stone Oak Orthodontics. I've got my new Invisalign in, and going through the process with that. It's been different. All right, you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening or morning whenever you've tuned into this, and hurry back to see more on the Monica Brant Show. I'm Monica Brant, and I will see you soon.